Welcome back to the Tiga Tactics Podcast, show about self-defense for civilians by civilians. We discuss civilians' personal protection, including martial arts, combat sports, and street combatives. Our resident MANs, martial arts nerds, include co-founder of Tiga Tactics and holder of black belt in 9 different styles, Dr. Conrad Bui.
Hello, everyone.
We also have black belt holder in 4 different styles, and the other co-founder, Patrick Vuong.
Yo, yo, yo.
And I am the third co-host, retired Army Special Forces soldier and champion obstacle course racing athlete. Well, we're also retired on that. Evan Ultra-OCR man Perperis. Today we're going to be talking about pepper spray. Before we get to that, though, talking about Vulpus training products. If you haven't checked out Vulpus, head over to vulpustraining.com. Check out their huge line of products, literally hundreds of stuff, and feel free to scroll through their social media at Vulpus Training, and you will see me, Patrick, Conrad, Scott, some of the Tiga Tactics crew using some of their tools, doing flow drills and all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, definitely check them out. All right, let's jump to today's episode. We are talking about pepper spray. So we're going to be diving into if it's a good idea and how you deploy it, how you carry it, etc. So I guess, Conrad, let's start off with you. Well, give me some thoughts on pepper spray.
I think a lot of people, they buy pepper spray and then they just put it in their purse and it starts going down deeper into that black hole of a purse. Or maybe they'll put it in their glove compartment, and there's just no way to access it in time. And so I knew somebody. They were like, oh, we were talking to them, and they said, yeah, I carry pepper spray. And I said, oh, can I see it? And they said, yeah, let me grab it for you. They pull out the purse, and they're digging through their purse. It takes maybe about 5 minutes, and oh, here it is. And I'm thinking, wow, hey, kudos to them for thinking about their own personal safety. I think that's empowering to be able to take responsibility for your own safety and to do things that will increase your odds of surviving a violent encounter and coming out safely. And so I applaud them for that. It just sometimes some people just buy the tool set or the tool or the pepper spray, and then they just set it and forget it. I mean, they'll just throw it in their purse or whatever like that. I think that as much as I want to applaud that has a negative side, which might be that they're overconfident or they just have a false sense of security when they might have to deploy that in an emergency situation. So yeah, definitely applaud anyone looking to empower themselves, to protect themselves, protect their family. And at the same time, if you're going to do it, give it just that little extra thought, that little extra step, and just improve your odds even better by being prepared, carrying it properly, getting the proper training. And even if that means, just learning from some online course or some YouTube person or something, get some proper training. There's also, if you're going to carry, there's some pepper spray that they sell it along with a trainer pepper spray that just sprays water. So you can kind of see how the stream is, if you're getting any of that backlash from the stream, that kind of stuff as well too. So get some training, and then of course make sure that your pepper spray is up to date, because there is an expiration date on these things as well too. Those are just my initial thoughts. Patrick, what about you?
I agree with everything that you said. What I have found is that the people who buy pepper spray are also the people who will not pay to train. And that's obviously a very broad generalization, so I apologize for anybody who does train with their pepper spray. But I've seen the vast majority of people who buy pepper spray are the ones who do not train. They are like what you said, Conrad, people who like might shovel the pepper spray to the bottom of their purse or to the bottom of their backpack and never ever use it to practice. And so when I have taught self-defense classes in the past, women's self-defense or teen defense, that type of thing, I almost never advocated for pepper spray. That being said, if people are looking for a tool to supplement their personal protection, then by all means, like that's great, that's awesome, get it. just as you said, Conrad, just they have to train. They have to have the right mindset and the right skill set to make sure that they know how to wield their tool set. Um, I I've just seen, again, you and I have watched literally hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on CCTV, YouTube, World Style Hip Hop, and more often than not, like especially when it comes with law enforcement, they are now so afraid to shoot a lethal threat that they'll go first with the pepper spray or the taser, and they'll do absolutely nothing because sometimes the attacker is high on PCP or high on meth, high on some sort of drugs, or it's just ineffective and it just doesn't affect them the same way you think it would, and so they end up getting hurt because they attacks are very fast and they close the gap very quickly, and they just don't have the empty hand skills to compensate for a pitiful pepper spray. you know. Um, so yeah, that there's just way to me there's just way more cons than pros.
Hmm.
There are many cons. It could be if it's a windy day, like if you're in Chicago, you pull the pepper spray, you start blasting it, it hits the bad guy, but it backsplashes into you. Well, great. Now both of you are basically blind. Or it could be raining. Rain and water affects the effectiveness of OC of pepper spray. There's also a wide variety of brands and qualities, and so not all pepper spray are created equal. I wouldn't rely on the pepper spray sold at a gas station,
Yeah.
versus one that you could buy from like kind of like a law enforcement store or of that quality. And then, as I mentioned before, the other con is that it may not work on somebody who is affected by, drugs or alcohol.
All good points. All good points. And when we're saying pepper spray, we're kind of using that as a umbrella term to cover OC spray. Oh, basically any sort of like liquid spray that shoots out. Um, yeah. So we're using that term very broadly. And like Patrick, you said, there's different brands, different styles. Um, there's also like the Burna pepper ball launcher, where like it's a projectile. It shoots like essentially a paintball filled with pepper. I'm actually less of a fan of that because I think when I watch the YouTube test videos, it takes a couple of seconds for that. Like if you got to hit them in the right area and then they got to inhale it. So I think it takes more time versus like a pure liquid pepper spray or a gel pepper spray that's hitting them and it's like touching their eyeball immediately versus the Burna. I like the Burna. I'm not crazy about the pepper ball like ammo for it. Since I live in Massachusetts currently, they do not have the best self-defense laws. So I've recently, as of like the last couple months, started like exploring some of the pepper spray world. Um,
Hmm.
I I got one of Conrad was there. I got one of like the little pepper spray canisters.
Hmm. Right.
We got when we went to visit the actual Berna like less lethal store, and it I found I couldn't find a good. I was like playing around with carrier locations on my hip, on my like next to my nut, next to like a appendix position, like if I was carrying a knife or a pen, across my like shoulder strap bag that I carried at jujitsu, and I couldn't find a way that it was secure and I could access it quickly and reliably, with any
Hmm.
sort of like consistency. And maybe that requires more training on me, but I was just not a fan. It felt the motions felt too weird, or it felt too different. If you come to our toolset training tour, you will see a lot of, and you come to Tiga train with us in general. You see a lot of Tiga tactics very modular. So we teach like a couple of simple things that can be plug and played into a whole bunch of different situations and uh, ways to defend yourself. I feel like pepper spray was too currently for me. It's not like a knife and it's not like a flashlight. Like a knife, flashlight, and pen are all very similar. If you're holding a reverse grip, um, pepper spray feels like its own thing currently. So I haven't necessarily found one I quote unquote like. I did own in the past, or my wife owned the Kimber pepper spray, which essentially looks like a
Hmm.
tiny
Right. Hmm.
pocket pistol, is what it looks like. It looks like a little derringer. Um, that's currently my favorite. I am still kind of assessing if I like that though. So I will have to report back at a later time if I like that. But I currently have one, and I actually recently ordered off Amazon like a little holster for it to see if I like the way it draws, just like I would draw like a pistol. So if that works out well, I may change some of my opinions. But yeah, currently the normal nozzle pepper spray, it just feels too clumsy and awkward to deploy. Uh, Fine motor skills to like turn off the safety and then activate it currently. And then obviously all the downsides, Patrick, you mentioned, whether it being an area weapon. That's one of the things people always forget. It gets if you're in the area, like it gets you. So you're gonna have some blowback. You might get your wife who might be standing next to you, or if she
Mhm.
uses it, it might get you, right? So just stuff to be aware of.
I always go
Uh,
back to the classic Jeet Kune Do scenario when they say like, you're fighting somebody, and now take that scenario and now you're in a phone booth or you're in an elevator. How does that change your technique and your strategies? And obviously pepper spray in like an elevator, not a good thing.
yeah, I'm
I've trained
curious,
this,
Evan.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've trained to some brand. So USCCA is they're big fans of pepper spray. They recommend it at a lot of their free courses. And I've trained with some other people who I have a lot of respect for in like the combatives world, who are very pro pepper spray. Um, because of its ability for range, because of its ability to if it is effective, it shuts the guy down, and you can use it from a distance. It's a projectile weapon. So there are some people that are very pro pepper spray. So, and I've been in for the army. They put us in the CS chamber, which is going to be similar to the pepper spray experience. And it was pretty awful. Like there was mucus coming out of every. I mean, my sinuses cleared out, like completely cleared out. It was pretty terrible.
Yeah, so speaking of your military experience, did you or anyone in your team carry pepper spray or OC or anything like that? Mace?
No, no, not even no. It never even came up as a topic. We got exposed to CS gas, which again is a type of a chemical irritant as part of training. But we never like we didn't carry pepper spray. No. Um, yeah, no. Like I'm I give law enforcement in America a lot of credit. They have to deal with a lot more scrutiny. Um, and a lot of times when I look at if you took the same scenarios from law enforcement that people argue about in America and put them in the Middle East in the middle of a combat zone, like we would just shoot the person, and the day would be over. We'd be like, okay, well that solves that problem. So a lot of times I watch law enforcement videos in the U.S. and I'm like, oh man, if we were in Iraq, we would have shot them there, and like over and over again.
Just
Um,
like the training simulation, you were just shooting everybody.
there was no good guys. There was no good guys. The one that was the zombie one we did. So, and that the one I had to target discriminate. I was good, minus the first one because I didn't understand what the good guys look like. I shot one good guy right at the beginning of that one training scenario because I just didn't understand what the good guys look like versus the bad guys. So then I
Okay.
was 100% after that.
Right. We'll give you a pass on that first guy. Yeah. When I was a bouncer, I knew some bouncers use pepper spray. I just never did. But I know you had, or your friend had a personal experience getting sprayed, right? Right, Evan?
Yes, one of my friends did. We were in a an establishment for fine gentlemen, and he was he was he was I don't remember what he was doing. He was talking. He's a very how do I put this? He like he was he talks a lot and he's good with the ladies. He was talking to one of the professional ladies that worked at this establishment, and I don't know what he said, but eventually she decided she wasn't interested in hanging out with him anymore. He was asked to leave. Yeah, he refused to leave. And then I think we were like actually on the way out, and like while we were at the cusp of the building, he got pepper sprayed in the face. And we thought it was he was really upset because his eyes were burning. And then we had to drive. We had obviously all had to leave, but we thought it was the funniest thing. We thought we still laugh about it. The fact that he got pepper sprayed at a club. So
That is
it
awesome.
worked. I mean, it worked on him. He was a mess. He was a complete mess.
Oh,
It
right.
was
Would you say he was like not functional if he had to be physical with somebody or something?
correct. Yeah, I would say
Okay.
so.
But I don't deny that
And he was
a
not
really
sober, also, obviously.
I don't deny that good quality pepper spray shot right directly in the face is effective. I don't argue that at all. I don't disagree at all. I think it is obviously it's chemistry, right? So basically, it's going to be effective if it's top quality. You hit them right in the face. But my issue is percentage. What's high percentage? What's low
Mm.
percentage? And then also, how much of that is a risk to you? And so, but again, I do know people who carry pepper spray and have used it successfully. Shout out to Dr. Z with the Dragon Combat Club. He's actually one of the big advocates of pepper spray. He's one of Tiga Tactics instructor as well. And so shout out to Dr. Z. You're doing a great job in New York City. Obviously, in New York City, they have very strict laws, and so him just even carrying a knife, pocket knife, really small pocket knife, could throw him in jail. So he's had to kind of adapt to the laws there, and he's an advocate of flashlight pen and pepper spray. And he's told us a story about how he actually used pepper spray without having to deploy it and successfully defended himself. Basically, he just had it in his pocket, and he had been eyeing this guy who was obviously a little sketchy, and this dude suddenly just locked eyes on him and approached him really, really quickly. So Dr. Z pulled out his kind of opened up his jacket and started pulling out his pepper spray from his jacket, and that nonverbal communication was enough to stop the potential attack because the guy quickly turned around and walked away. So I'm not saying like it's ineffective, but I just think there's a lot of you have to really weigh the pros and cons.
I need to make one small caveat. The story I told from like 15 years ago. I don't go to those places anymore. I feel like I need to say that in my future line of work. I do not attend those places. This is an old story.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
Yeah, the 15 years ago. And then two, the other thing I wanted to mention was that Kimber one that has the same, like, it looks like a pocket pistol. It is very clearly not a pistol. Like, it looks toy-like.
Right. Yeah.
Because there are some less lethal tools that when you draw them, they still look like lethal tools. There's a physical compliance thing that looks very much like a knife, but it's not a knife. Like that's an example of one. And there's like those Burna guns. You can buy them in all black, which I do not recommend because then when you pull your less lethal out, you get shot in the face by someone else with a lethal round.
Right.
So.
Right. Yes. Totally agree. And also, I've said this before. A couple of things. The first thing is, like some people they poo-poo pepper spray, they poo-poo the personal alarm. I think that's probably the one that gets made fun of a lot. The personal alarm. You pull on the keychain and it goes wee 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 wee, and I would imagine most of the time it does nothing. But and at the same time, if you're using it properly, like you have it on you, it's a good reminder to your wife or for yourself even, or your daughter or son, that the world's not a safe place. There are bad people out there doing bad things to good people, and there are people with unlucky days, and carrying that tool reminds me that it's not a safe place. I want to stay alert out there. And so I think for any tool, from firearm all the way to personal alarm, that's probably the biggest benefit to realize safety is an illusion. And then the other point would be that some people they put all their eggs in one basket. So they get that personal alarm and they think that's it, that's everything, or they get the pepper spray or even a firearm, and they think that's it, that's the tool that's going to solve everything. And the fact of the matter is, and we know that it's not. You just have to get training. You've got to be able to use your empty hand skills. You've got to have soft skills of de-escalation, of some intelligence of not doing breaking the laws of stupid, those kind of things right there. And so it's just another layer in your personal protection, in your defensive lifestyle there.
Yeah, that's why we obviously talk about mindset as the base in the pyramid of personal protection, and skill set in the as the next level up, and then tool set is the smallest portion. Um,
Right.
Speaking of which, come train with us this coming weekend in San Francisco. If you're listening to it shortly after it publishes, 18th and 19th, we'll be doing the tool set training tour. The one kind of caveat I'm going to make, or not make caveat, but kind of like the opposite side of the spectrum is, so real quick, I've been teaching with Phil Elmore, this urban warlord system. It's not even a system. It's just a collection of webinars and events. And we had a whole bunch of different tool set kind of focused ones. We did one on pencil. We did one on pop knife razors. We did one on machetes. We did one on instant cheap knife system, like very like cheap knives. And we did one on flexible weapons. And I during the most recent one, the pencil webinar, the John Wickenar, if you will, I was like, hey, like at some point, we're giving you all this great information, but like you also need to like pick and choose. So like you can't be walking around with the Batman utility belt with like my pepper spray, I got my knife, I got my flashlight, I got my pen, I got my firearm, I got my pop knife razor, I got a machete. Like at some point, like pick one or two and then like back off. So I'd say the caveat for pepper spray is like, what else are you carrying? And does that fit well into that accessibility, convenience, effectiveness acronym I use when I talk about carrying something for personal protection? Just throw that out there
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
people to chew on and think about.
Yeah, it's a whole lifestyle kind of thing. And what you mentioned again, the pyramid of personal protection there, mindset, skill set, tool set. It's good to have it all.
Absolutely. Mindset and skill set, obviously, I'd rather have someone with a good mind and good skill set rather than just someone with personal alarm or pepper spray buried in their bag.
Right.
One of the situations in which I would advocate for a chemical irritant is if you're more out in the woods, maybe you live at a lakeside town or you're going camping, then actually I would definitely recommend you buy bear spray. Uh, because not all campsites allow you to carry firearms, So you can't necessarily have a 45 on you or a 10 millimeter handgun. So bear spray would be an excellent alternative. It definitely works on bear. I've seen plenty of videos where people carried bear spray and they sprayed it at bears, grizzly bears to huge bears, and they took one whiff and they ran away.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So
Good
not
advice.
necessarily everything, is I think we tend to think of just city life, urban life, but there's a lot of situations where OC spray may work very effectively.
Correct. And if you're going to deploy it, make sure that you move defensively away from the attacker, because generally, if somebody gets sprayed, they tend to lunge and just grab at whatever is close by. So understand your range with this tool and use it appropriately.
Yeah, like you hinted at earlier, um, anytime you want, anytime you use something like this, you want to have tested it beforehand. You want to have like practice with it. You want the skill set to accompany it, and you want to know its capabilities. So the first time, if you carry pepper spray, if that's going to be your primary, your go-to. You shouldn't. The first time you shoot up any pepper spray, it shouldn't be in like a real life encounter. Like you should test it out at some point, like in a, obviously do it outside. Otherwise, your house is going to be in pretty rough shape. I had a friend from college and in the army. They had his sister had like a squirrel or something run into their house, and one of them had the bright idea of like we should pepper spray it, and they pepper sprayed it indoors, and it did not help the situation.
Ouch.
I'm not
Oh,
sure they hit the squirrel, but I know everyone in the house was like coughing and gagging. with like their eyes tearing. So again, area weapon. Be aware.
Yes.
Any other final thoughts on pepper spray, Conrad?
No, just use it appropriately, get the proper training, and also understand its limitations, and try to remember it's more of a lifestyle than just a tool.
Patrick.
I would like to remind people that pepper spray causes more or less a distraction, but it does not do damage. So distraction versus damage. It's a distraction because it causes pain. Uh, it overloads your receptors. It causes you to like mucus comes out. You have a hard time seeing. You probably start coughing, but that doesn't actually do damage unless it's like super high grade, and then you might get permanent, eye damage. But a tool like say a flashlight, it will damage a person's eyesight temporarily so that you can either run away or you can close the gap and do physical damage to them. You can break bones, you can break eye sockets, you can damage muscle tendon that are sorry muscles, possibly even break bones. If you have an aluminum flashlight. So those are things to keep in mind. Distraction versus damage. Does your tool cause a distraction, or does it cause damage, or does it do both? So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to effectiveness.
Sounds good. All right, let's start wrapping it up. Conrad, what do you have coming up, including this recent seminar we have right on the horizon?
Yeah, if you catch this soon enough and you're in the area, come join us in San Francisco this weekend here, and we will be at Dragon Fest as well too, August 1st. So it'll be fun. We have a booth there. We're all going to be there, including our stunt division as well too. So you'll meet the entire team, and we're going to have a lot of fun at that one. Come by, meet us, say hi.
In the fall, we'll be producing more content for our Sealots Rock online program. And if you haven't heard what that is, it's basically our virtual academy where you get to learn directly from Guru Conrad. He's very modest, so he hasn't talked about his credentials too much. And I've been yeah, honestly years I've been telling, man, people need to know what you know. They need to know how awesome you are. He's been very humble about it, but I think I finally convinced him. So now we have the CLOT program to tell the world how awesome he is at CLOT Iraq. And in my view, we're going to share an art that is, I don't want to use the term dying because there are people who are out there teaching it, but it is very much a closed system and not too many people share it because it's got too many secrets. But it's a martial art, man. It's not like magic. So Guru Conrad has been generous enough to share it with the world, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Behind the scenes, and we're going to be dropping more content. So definitely check that out if you're into really effective, sophisticated traditional martial arts.
Mm, thank you.
Looking forward to seeing everyone in San Francisco for the Toolset training tour, and then as well at Dragon Fest. I am super excited about both of them. Both of those are some of my favorite events of the entire year. Well, I've actually never been to the San Francisco seminar, but any Tiga Tactics seminar weekend is my favorite event of the year. It's just a lot of fun, and then Dragon Fest is always a good time. So many ridiculous stories. Like you need to come if people are listening. Like come to Dragon Fest. Come hang out with us. It'll be fun to talk to some people who listen to the podcast. So if you're in the the LA area for Dragon Fest, come check us out. If you want to learn Western Piper methods, I finished book 3. All 3 books are out. Western Piper methods 1, 2, and 3. And then I am starting a Western Piper methods back at level 1 training group online in August. So get on my Patreon page, patreon.com/GreekCombatives, and we will do weekly classes. Sign up for one of the top 2 tiers, one of the live tiers, to get access to that information. And yeah, keep following along. We got a lot of stuff. We got the Urban Warlord webinars. We have done 11 of the 12. We will do one more. Not sure what that'll be, but we just did the John Wickenar pencil webinar. And part of that, I took a bunch of pencils and pens and I stabbed my Bob on his back. So if you want to see the results of that puncture test, and then you want to learn about some, you'll recognize some of the early movements of the webinar. I pulled straight from Tiga Tactics, and some of the later movements are pulled a little more from Western Piper methods. And then I talk about some of the value of training specific. Long story short, it fits in well with the toolset training tour. So I recommend going to the toolset training tour. And then if you want some further content to continue your training, definitely check out our John webinar. And that can be ordered either through my website, teamstrengthspeed.com, or message me or Phil Elmore's Instagram, and we'll get you set up with that.
Yeah, very cool. I've been involved in a few of the webinars. They're fun. They're a lot of fun, and there's also a lot of information and the research that you do for these webinars, Evan. You go well above and beyond the line of duty for those things. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, there's also, before I forget, there's also a sale going on Tack Knife. They do a bunch of trainers. If you order a pop knife, tack knife trainer, this is like $12. If you add one to your order, you get the pop knife webinar for free, which is like, and the Phil's ebook. So it's like ordering them separately would cost you something like $72, and for $12 you get it all. It's like insane. Like literally, if you have any interest in pop knives or razor blade attacks, because I did like a 100 attack deep dive into it. That's part of the webinar. If you have interest in any of that, it's completely ridiculous not to order a tack knife and get the webinar for free. So highly recommend people do that.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
All right, we're gonna get going. I will see both of you this weekend. Looking forward to it, and I will hopefully see your listeners as well.
All right, take care, everybody.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.